Hey there, welcome to another Disney Pixar Connection video. Today we're talking Moon Knight Theory. Moon Knight does release on Disney Plus. It will be a TV series, and it's going to be released March 30th. So check that out. Super excited. You know how they do. I will be keeping up with that with the Easter eggs, so y'all won't be behind. And I promise I won't give away too much, but you guys can obviously watch those videos as they come out. Okay, anywho, there is a theory that says the Avengers Endgame could have secretly told about Moon Knight's origin story. So Moon Knight is, I believe his name is Steve, if I remember reading correctly. And Steve has what's called DID, dissociative identity disorder. And that is how this character came out. It is what happens in the comics. It might be closer to the comics than anything else. And if you are interested in reading the comics, highly suggest, not a paid ad by the way, using Marvel Unlimited. It is $10 a month and you have full access. They give origin stories, they give character arcs, they go by the movie, they go by the character. I mean, trust me, there is a ton of stuff on there. It's really awesome to read. So check that out. Anyway, so with the way that Disney Plus has been released, or Disney has been releasing the the MCU TV shows, like WandaVision, Loki, Hawkeye, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and they've been big hits. They want to do the same thing with Moon Knight's story. And it's said that Moon Knight will be closer to what the ending of WandaVision is, like the end of her promise. So this will be quite interesting. And so far from the trailer, which I will show you shortly, it's going to be very dark, very brutal, very psychological thriller, which I'm a true crime obsessionado. I love true crime. I like horror. I have to do this stuff without my kiddo around because he hates it. But I am super excited. So I did end up watching Hawkeye without Matthew. I think I also watched Falcon and the Winter Soldier without him. WandaVision was, I think, the only TV show that I watched with him, MCU wise, because it wasn't that dark for most of it. So, but anyway, the trailer does hint that there might be another, or there is an alien invasion, so this is interesting. The way that MCU took creative control over Moon Knight suggests that it is the right moment and it's a big risk for them, but the way that they've been developing has already proven to be successful. So they obviously, MCU knows what they're doing. You guys know that. They are beyond. They are fantabulous. I miss Stan Lee. But we know that MCU is such a huge, there's just a huge following. Now, this is not particular to Moon Knight. I'm about to go off on a tangent, so I apologize. But there are some suggestions that the way that they keep going might actually get rid of fans, because only the fans that are like wanting to stick around and going to keep up are going to be able to. Because honestly, if you're just now coming into the Marvel scene and you have not watched all these films, it's going to take you, if you can sit down like straight back to back, it's going to take you quite a while. Okay, so like there's a lot between the movies, the TV shows, there's all this stuff, right? And I'm pretty well versed in it, but even I feel behind. So I'm going to be honest with you guys. Sometimes I feel like I'm missing out on stuff. Anyway, we are going to watch the trailer and then I want to talk about some things of what it might be hinting to, because there is a lot. All right, so that was an interesting trailer, wasn't it? Anyway, this was the first Moon Knight trailer. It's not surprising that a lot of the answers are quite short to what we may question about. The marketing stresses the relationship between obviously the last film as well as or TV series. You know, they always, the way that Marvel does it, kind of like the way that Pixar does it, it always links up to the last one in some way. And there's a reason that MCU releases these in the particular order that they are, despite it not necessarily being in chronological order, right? Sometimes they're jumping all over the place, which I know can get annoying. I know it. But if you're on Disney Plus, you can always, there's different ways of watching it. You can watch them in release order or you can watch it chronologically. It doesn't really matter so much, to be honest with you. I've watched both. I've watched in both ways, if that makes sense. Honestly, I like it when I watch it if I were to suggest, I like it in the release order more so. Because I feel like there's a reason that they did it. But as we know, Disney, or the way that they organized it on Disney Plus is quite interesting. They fixed some things. Anyway, we're going off on tangents. So Moon Knight looks like it could be a standalone. Because there isn't even a reference to the blip, from the last movie, which would surely cause a disruption with mental health issues. As I mentioned earlier, Steve has dissociative identity disorder, and when you have that, sometimes something happens and it triggers that particular personality. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not well versed in DID. I do have a few friends who do have it, so I've learned a little bit, but that does happen. And so, like, when you're in that, again, from my understanding, when you're in that mind zone, when you're in that personality, really, you don't exactly know what is going on with the other person. Not all the time. Anyway, so that's happening. And so far there's no connection to him to the Avengers other than maybe there's a glimpse in the Endgame. I have yet to see it. But we'll see how things develop. Anyway, Moon Knight is often compared to Batman, as we know. They are both street level vigilantes, a wealthy man who suits up to become a force of vengeance against crime, stalking in the night. We know that's how Batman is. Batman is obviously not Marvel. Batman is actually DC, but very similar characters. Of course, there's going to be similar characters, right? To Marvel to DC. Okay. But there's a difference. So I mentioned that difference was that Moon Knight has the dissociative identity disorder. So that is, I don't know why I keep calling him Steve. His name is Mark. His name is Mark. I should have known that. I don't know why Steve was popping up in my head. I apologize on that. So, in addition to that, Mark Septor, who is the main person, with who becomes Moon Knight. He's been chosen to refer in the comics as brain to brain contact with God. So he was chosen by the moon god Khonshu, becoming the avatar, his championship. Thus, the Moon Knight struggles to understand and interpret the world around him. Yeah. So, I would love your thoughts. What do you think is going to happen? Do you think that Endgame actually began his origin story? Or, what are your theories on what's going to happen in the show? Are you excited? I love to hear thoughts and opinions down below. I will be reading them and responding, and I hope to see you guys very, very soon.